Alright, welcome back to another Monochrome Report. It is March 2026. It's the end of the first week and I'm out in the city center. As you can see, it's super sunny today. Spring is finally here. And we are starting with a casual street photography day, just some monochrome street photography in Hamburg. I'm going to meet with my friend David and then we're going to explore the city. And yeah, the light is a little harsh, which I don't like, but let's see what I can do with the light. In terms of the gear I brought with me, gear for monochrome, of course. And because it's nice and sunny outside, I'm also going to use Nikon D850. My Nikon D850 with a 40 Ultron manual focus, which is my fun camera for street photography. All right, let's go.
For the people behind the camera and the world in front of it.
Whoa, this place is so amazing. I wish I had a camera.
Did you just say you need a camera?
Whoa,
Wait, here's the perfect camera for you.
whoa, is this the Ricoh GR?
50 quid.
Yes, take my money.
Thanks.
Wow,
Hey, it's actually slippery. It's actually slippery.
it's so dangerous. I can't believe you did that.
Yo, yo, yo. I don't know if you can see me. I can see me. Oh yeah, I can see me. I'm here at the UK Photography and Video Show. Of course, I'm here for Ricoh Imaging to do some talks about the GR. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but we have a huge Ricoh GR logo banner in the background. Huge. It's so big. I've never seen this before. Yeah, I met up with my friend Leo after a long time, reuniting with him every time I'm in the UK.
What's going on? I wish I had a camera that can focus better than this.
Wait, I have just the right camera for you. Here, take this.
Wow, is this the new Ricoh GR3X?
It's the one that can snap focus.
Snap focus?
You don't need to focus, just snap.
I can get a picture every time.
Wow, what a great camera. You should definitely buy one. And you know, I feel a little weird being here because, you know, with everything going on around the world, it's kind of strange to be here and to be blissfully talking about camera lenses and bokeh and sharpness and photography and editing. I mean, you know what I mean, right? It's just that this year has been crazy. Let's just say this year has been crazy. Yeah, but back to the photography show here. This is in Birmingham. Last time it was in London. Now it's in Birmingham. And it's big. It's nothing like Photokina, of course, but it's big. And I met with Sean Tucker again. He's doing a talk or two talks. I met with Ian, also a great photographer. Met a guy from Daipoch. Met a lot of father and son couples, like fathers who introduced me to their sons, who also photograph, or their sons introduced me to their fathers, and both photograph, which is really cool. Got a lot of questions about my hood here, so promoting the square hood. Thomas, I know you're not watching, but I'm doing a lot of promotion here. And Alan Schaller is here. I only saw him once when he was standing in line for food. I think he's promoting his new Iris app. But yeah, I didn't really have time to check out all the stands. I might do that now. Now is kind of a good opportunity. I have a talk in 2 hours. Yeah, these photography shows, they are exhausting. You stand a lot, you talk a lot, but it's nice. I'm enjoying it. Okay, I will see you later. Ciao. Monochrome update. It is March 21st. It's almost the end of March already. And I'm out here in the city in Hamburg to do some street photography. Yeah, and I wasn't that happy with my first photo walk when I went into the city center, which has really become a part of Hamburg that I'm very bored with. So today I'm going to switch things up. I'm going to explore the north of Hamburg. It's an area that's called Winterhude, Eppendorf. It's where people live that have a bit more money. People dress nice. And I think it's an area that I haven't really photographed a lot. and I really want to explore that. Yeah, and I haven't really been challenging myself to do anything new. So in terms of how I'm going to approach taking photos in black and white here today, it's not going to be very different from how I normally shoot. I also brought my skateboard. I have a board that has like soft wheels on them so I can cruise. Because it's nice weather outside, I might actually try to skateboard while doing street photography. Maybe it's more fun that way. Because to be honest, I'm not that serious about documenting my city anymore. I think I'm getting bored of it, and there's so many great photographers who capture all the events happening in Hamburg, so I don't feel motivated or inspired to contribute. I think my contribution is just sharing my experience in the city and maybe make it a bit more personal, because that's all I can do, or at least that's what I'm trying to do. So I'm going to try to have more fun doing street photography and not take it too serious. So yeah, let's go out and shoot a bit in the city. So I just realized that my camera was set to 12,800 ISO. So all my photos are overexposed and super grainy, but I'm heading back to my car anyways because it was fun riding my board, but I can't concentrate on taking photos. And my friend David is in the city center right now, so I might join him to continue taking photos with him, but he's in the city center, so not ideal, but better than being out here alone. Yo, Monochrome Report update. It is March 29. We just switched to summertime here in Germany and I'm at the harbor in Hamburg. Still beautiful spring weather, but very cold. So the thing is, I'm not really satisfied with the images I have taken this month, and it was a bit busy with work. I was in Birmingham and had to publish a video for Xiaomi. So I did not get to shoot a lot for myself and have a very clear plan what I want to do in April. But because I was so uninspired in March, or busy and not really motivated, I'm going to do something very drastic for my last day. I'm going to take photos only with a smartphone. Just because I want to challenge myself a bit. I have the Leica Leitzphone here, which I reviewed on my channel, but I haven't really used it since then. For a daily smartphone, this is too big for me, and the camera is great, but to be honest, I still prefer the image quality of my other cameras, of my real cameras. But this Leitzphone has some black and white simulations that are very cool. They have this Leica M3 Monopan film emulation, which adds a bit of texture to the images, and I just want to use it and see how it's like to do some street photography just using the phone and with a baked-in black and white filter. And the Leitzphone has this ring here where you can basically change the focus, or I use it for exposure compensation. So I'm just going to use it as a point and shoot and use this to correct my exposure and just go with whatever this camera delivers. Alright, we reached the end of March. Actually, it's already April 1st, but whatever. As always, I'm going to review my images now. I'm going to see what I like. I still have a few photos that I didn't show before. And I'm going to go through my images and try to analyze what I was thinking, my mindset at that time, maybe something that I'm going to change moving forward. At the very end, I'm going to share my takeaways, things that I learned, some wisdom hopefully to share so that you can also learn more about monochrome photography through what I have learned, hopefully. But don't expect too much wisdom because, to be honest, March was kind of a slow month for me. I mean, I was very busy. I had to travel. I had to finish some projects. But it was a slow month in terms of exploring monochrome photography. I did take a lot of photos, more than I expected to take.
But I was kind of running on autopilot and didn't really think about the images I was taking. But now I'm going to do some thinking and look at my photos. So let's go. So we are inside my Miro board, and here you can see January, February, and now we have my March images. So let's zoom straight into the first photo. So beginning of March, this is a photo of my wife inside our car. She's pregnant, as you might know if you follow my channel, and she has to deal with pregnancy diabetes. So she has to track her blood sugar levels. And what you see here is her doing the test inside the car while driving and taking notes. And only way I was able to take this quick snapshot is, of course, because I had a GR in my pocket.
Wow, what a great camera. You should definitely buy one.
So next we have some snapshots from the city center. Yeah. My first day out wasn't that successful. I mean, what is this? But I'm showing you these photos anyways because they also serve as a kind of diary for me. Yeah, nothing too impressive, but finally we got some nice weather. Then we have this snapshot of my son. Every week we are going swimming now, and this is him drying his hair or discovering a hair dryer. And this is the day I went out with David, the first photo walk I did in the city. And yeah, these are the images. They are more like urban landscapes. I was more hanging out with David rather than taking photos. So I think these images reflect that. Very distant. There was also not much going on. So yeah, I kind of like this one, even though I have taken this photo multiple times. It's a cool spot in the city center where you can see these modern office buildings, and then in the background you see this old church, so you kind of have that contrast. And then these two birds came flying into my frame, and it kind of made this a bit more interesting than all the other photos I already took of this scene. Then we went to Birmingham. Yeah, plane shot, always have to do a plane window shot. This was probably the GR3X. I only traveled with the GR4 monochrome and the GR3X. So I don't know if you can tell which one is which, but it should not be that different. This, for example, is a GR3X photo. I just liked the hand coming out here. So of course I was busy thinking about my talk and preparing mentally for it, networking, meeting other people. So these images I took here, I kind of took them while talking to people. You know, you stand a lot, you talk a lot, then you look around and sometimes you see something. And something I did here was to underexpose, so expose for the highlights, because, you know, camera shows, conventions, you know, they are so messy, so many colors, so much texture. So by exposing for the highlights, it cleans up the frame and you can hide all that noise in the shadows. So that's why I really like this first one here. It's because it looks so clean. Yeah, low-key photography was definitely a theme on this trip. Here's a mirror selfie. You can see me here and some guys from Rico. Didn't really see much of the city. Birmingham, I don't know what I should think about Birmingham in terms of street photography and how it looks photographically. I only know that it felt like a dangerous city and I don't think I want to be out at night. I'm sure there's a lot of potential for street photography. The architecture, to be honest, looked like any other city I visited in the UK so far, but I did not get to explore more than just the city center. Yeah, let's move on. This is from within my hotel. I think I was using a high contrast filter here, but all of the photos, by the way, are edited in RAW, just using either a Cobalt Tri-X emulation for my non-monochrome cameras, or just use the standard profile with my GR4 monochrome. This was kind of funny here because during my talks I did do a few demonstrations, like this is how I use snap focus. I used the touchscreen like that. And I had all these photos in my camera, which I did not take intentionally. I wasn't really looking for composition or anything. So looking back at these photos, it's kind of fun to see like a point of view of how it looked like. And these photos were taken at the last day where it was a bit quieter. Not that I was overrun by crowds, but I also did not advertise my talk. Okay, last photo, just a plain shot. I took this not with high contrast in mind, but of course I was drawn to these shapes, you know, these zigzag shape down here. the cross. This is Swiss Air, obviously. And then I turned it into a high contrast black and white image, and I like it a lot for the shapes, I guess, for the contrast. Then we have a few personal family photos. I have way more than this, but I'm not going to show you all my personal family moments, but just to show you a little bit of what it looks like when I take photos in my daily life. Then we visited my wife's workplace to get some stuff out of her locker because she's, of course, now in her maternal leave. A photo taken while driving because the light was beautiful. And then this one here kind of shocked me. This is a photo taken with the GR4 monochrome, and it was super dark. It was not as bright as it looks like in this photo. So I was on my way home after a taekwondo class and getting some milk from a farm, because we have these milk stations where you can just bring your own bottle and fill it up and get fresh raw milk. And it was very dark outside. You could see the stars. And I don't remember the ISO here, but it was very high ISO. And I shot this at half a second exposure, or 1 second maybe. That definitely showed me the benefits of a monochrome sensor.
Wow, what a great camera!
Not that this is a super interesting image, but I wanted to include it because it is a moment I had that I would normally not take a photo of because I would not be able to. Let's zoom out for a second here just to see where we are at. Oh, we already reached the end. Okay, so here are now my Leitzphone photos, my smartphone photos. I didn't really show you a lot of photos because I wanted to keep you on your toes or stay interested in watching this video until the end. I have a lot to say about this experience. When it comes to the rendering and the images itself, the look you are getting out of the Leica M3 emulation, which emulates the look of Monopan film, it is beautiful. It is organic looking. It does look a lot like film, has similar grain added to it. They're using a totally different algorithm to create these images compared to the main camera app when using filters. So it is definitely unique and probably the only reason to get the Leica Leitzphone over the Xiaomi 17 Ultra, because otherwise both smartphones are the same. But in terms of resolution, there's definitely room for improvement. I mean, you could say that maybe these look comparable to 35mm film because they're not so high resolution. But just based on the output and the final images, I would be happy printing them A4 size, but maybe not bigger. I personally would want a little bit more resolution and flexibility in post. I still like to tinker with my photos. Let me actually get the phone so we can talk a bit more about it. So in terms of how it feels to use it, very snappy. Using the M3 mode, the Leica Essentials mode, you don't have any control over shutter speed, which can be a challenge depending on what you want to take photos of. But because on this day it was very sunny, it was okay. Most of the time there was no motion blur. Oh, I just realized something. I wanted to say that because the exposure is constantly changing, it is very difficult to nail proper exposure because I was constantly adjusting the exposure compensation by using the front ring, which is convenient, but I forgot that I'm able to lock the exposure, by holding down the focus point, then it locks also the exposure. And then while I am locked, which I could also use to do pre-focusing, like 1 meter, 2 meter, and then just hold it. And then I can still use the front dial for exposure compensation. This is how I should have taken photos and not rely on auto exposure. This one, I think I like. The juxtaposition could be more obvious maybe, but I think it still works kind of. So I thought by using a smartphone and having the ability to zoom and zoom out, it would make it easier to compose and create cool compositions, but it actually made it harder because I was not sure which focal length I'm in. And with this phone specifically, you don't really know which focal length you're using. I know that the main lens is 23mm, but everything between 23mm and 75, I have to guess or just look at my framing, and that threw me off because I always take photos in this zoom range between 24, 28, all the way to 50, sometimes 75. But the shooting experience was very fast and it felt like using a point and shoot. Maybe treating this as a fixed lens point and shoot is the better way to go. Not so happy with my images here. I mean, there are a few moments, but they were kind of taken on the fly. Nothing really interesting happening here. You can see how I zoomed in just because I can, and it definitely feels distant. This is not what I usually do. Here, this was a nice scene, but I was also too far away, and see how this bottle is covering this woman's mouth. It is a weird composition, and I should have moved more to the left. See how lazy I was here? I could have moved a few steps to the left, but I didn't because I had the zoom. And I was like, I think I got it. Let's go. This filter or emulation has very strong contrast, which is something I'm going to explore in April. Spoiler alert. Wait, you don't say spoiler alert when you already spoil the spoiler. But I do like a bit less contrast. So this is, to me, this is already like very high contrast, which I'm slowly getting used to a bit. So for this photo, I have to give credit to David because he told me that I should maybe take a photo of this. There was this guy doing hand gestures. And because I was able to zoom, I was able to take a photo. He couldn't because he had a GS3X, which was not close enough. But it is not that interesting, to be honest. I mean, I captured the gesture, okay, but you don't really see that there's a guy behind here doing this. It's kind of like, what is this? Then we went into the city center, and these were the kind of photos I was hoping to take, you know, more low-key and highlighting things that are very bright. Followed this guy here for a while, and yeah, I like that he's looking into the direction where the sun is coming. Okay, another zoomed in photo, something I would not usually take. This is probably with the 75, don't remember. Super quick snapshot of David here holding his GR. I did not take a single photo that day with my GR. Mirror selfie, you gotta do it. Here it really doesn't look like a smartphone photo to me. It's kind of strange seeing me taking this photo with a smartphone, but doesn't look like a smartphone. Okay, what else do we have? A few more snapshots in the city center. I use the super wide angle lens sometimes, which is fun, but a bit extreme sometimes. And they had these rabbits in the city because we have Easter soon. So they always put these rabbits in the city center. And there was one big golden rabbit. Let me find it. Oh yeah, here. Where people take, photos in front of it. This one, I was able to super quickly take it. I mean, this is an easy shot. I could have done it with my GR or any camera and take my time, even manual focus, because no one is looking at me. But I think a smartphone is even more stealthy as a street photography camera compared to even a GR. With a phone, I could be filming, or you don't know. Maybe I'm checking my mails, maybe I'm playing a game. So I was holding my phone like this, and I would look down to change some settings, and then I would do this, you know. So maybe I'm checking, the angle. I don't see my screen. You can play dumb and get away with more, I think, by using a smartphone. A few more variations. There was a lady smoking. It was very dark here. I had to brighten her up a bit in post. So these are all out of camera or out of phone. But I did do a little bit of editing in Photoshop. Just brighten up the shadows sometimes. I think that's already it. Yes, we reached the end. So, exposing for highlights creates order. That is a lesson learned during my Birmingham trip. I mean, I already knew that when you underexpose or expose for the highlights, you can, deepen the blacks, the shadows, and create a cleaner frame. So it wasn't a big revelation to me, but it was definitely a method or technique I used the most in March. Monochrome feels monotone sometimes. So what do I mean by that? Well, like I said in my vlog, I lost a bit of inspiration or motivation to go out to take some street photos in my city. And if you strip away color information, then you need to have more happening in front of your camera or more interesting shapes or contrast. And if you don't have interesting shape or contrast, you need interesting content or subjects. And if that is lacking, then monochrome highlights the monotony or when there's nothing, then monochrome kind of highlights that. I don't know if that made sense, but occasionally I was feeling that. A lack of color creates fewer options equals encourages creativity. This is similar to the second takeaway, but I'm starting to see color as a subject. And because I remove color in my photographs, I have fewer subjects. which means I have to be more creative with my angles, with lines, shapes, contrast. You can say the same for color. If you have interesting color, you can be creative with how you combine the colors, but I still believe it's harder to create emotional impact without color than with color. Because as human beings, we are drawn to colors, we react to colors. So I feel like colors manipulate your mind, your emotions, more than black and white can do, unless you use black and white very effectively, but that's not so easy. Manual control over exposure is key. Yeah, when you do monochrome photography, all you have is contrast, gray tones, black and white. So how you control your highlights, your shadows, your midtones is crucial. It can make or break your image, and by allowing your camera to do the exposure for you, like I did with my Leitzphone, it can cause some underexposed or overexposed images which you might not want. So better to have manual control. Doesn't mean that you have to control every aspect of the exposure triangle. You can also just adjust the exposure compensation, but you should definitely have control over your exposure. So with my last takeaway, I'm trying to say something smart. Experiences create memories. Photography activates them. So what do I mean by that? Color sometimes adds too much information. So for example, I went to Birmingham, I experienced the UK photography show, and the memories are still vivid in my mind, in my brain, because I just lived my experiences. They're still fresh. But all the photos I took during that time are in monochrome, so there's no color information. But when I look at these photos, it triggers my memory. I remember how it felt being there. And I think if I would have color photos of my trip, I would still remember the trip, of course, but maybe, and I think this is true, but I can't really prove it, but I think with color photos, you can be easily distracted by whatever's going on in the background. Maybe there's a yellow bus in the background and suddenly you're thinking about this yellow bus. What was that bus? Why is it in this frame? Or maybe you see a red balloon in the sky. Color can trigger different memories that are unrelated to whatever experience you had while the photo was taken. At least that's how I feel when I look at old photos I took in monochrome. It's easier for me to remember my experience from that time. Does it make sense? Maybe something to try out, look at your family album and you see all these color photos. They start to look all the same, because you see the trees in the background always green, but maybe you do have some family photos or photos of you as a child in black and white. I don't think you will feel like, oh, there's something missing, this is not enough, right? I never looked at a black and white photo from a past lived experience and thought, this is not enough, I wish this would be color. Why? Because I have the memory of it in my brain, and maybe my memory is not correct. Maybe something was different than I remember it, but there's a certain feeling attached to this memory that is somehow easier activated when looking at a monochrome photo. I don't know. Maybe this is weird, maybe this is just my theory, but you can let me know in the comment section if you feel this way. Because I think I said this in the previous Monochrome Report, because I never regretted taking a photo in monochrome, especially on film. Never missed color. So that should tell us something at least. Alright, that was my March 2026 Monochrome Report. So for April, I'm also going to be very busy, unfortunately. I have to do my taxes and some other personal things, but I have a very specific challenge in mind, so it's going to be fun, and I'm going to collaborate with someone who's just the perfect fit for what I'm trying to do, so should be very fun and challenging. So let's see what comes out of it, and thanks for watching, thanks for following me along on this monochrome journey, and I see you in April, end of April. Take care, bye bye, stay safe, stay sane. I know it's hard, but try to stay sane, and I see you soon. Ciao.